Welcome back to Everything Emily. My name is Emily, and today we're going to be doing the ranking and reviewing of a series of unfortunate events. So, I haven't filmed on this channel for a while, but now I feel like I'm ready to come back. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, so I'm back. Last time I filmed, I was in a very horrible place. I just got diagnosed with something not horrific, but just something that took me time to process, and the healing of that plus working full time, it really took a toll and I wasn't able to film. And then just getting back into the motivation of filming something really took a while, so I was trying to do some TikTok videos and stuff like that to fill the void, and that worked for a time. But now I feel like I'm ready to come back, so here I am coming back. So throughout this year of 2022, I have somehow read the entirety of a series of unfortunate events. So I really loved the TV show. So I knew what was going to happen at the end, but I also knew that there was some things that didn't happen in the books, and I was like, oh, I wonder how that's going to go. So I wanted to read them to actually have that, experience. And so I read it, and it took me nearly like 10 months to read. I finished it last month in September. So I am happy that I finished this series. It took 9-10 months to read, and that was a long time. It was long, but now I'm gonna rank and review these. So I'm gonna start at the bottom, and so on the bottom of the list is book number 12, which is the penultimate peril. I can't pronounce words properly, so I'm sorry. So some of these books are going to be really hard for me to pronounce because I don't know how to pronounce words. So yeah, this was book number 12. It was pretty much about the kids going to the last safe place that is in this world. That was what this book was about. I think because this is at the bottom because I was so kind of getting fed up with the formulae. It was just so, yeah, it was just very repetitive, and especially the way how the story's been written. Like, I was skipping parts because it was just like the same thing over and over and over again. And like when there's like a word that, like, as an adult you know exactly what it means, but as a kid they obviously don't know what it means. But it just was like, oh yeah, I know what this word is. I don't need to be told what it is and like go on 2 pages on what this word is meant to be and the irony of this word being used. Sometimes it's a little too much, but I know for the age bracket that it's meant to be for. But yeah, so this is at number 13. Next on the list, number 12, is the 10th book, which is The Slippery Slope. This one is pretty much about the kids after the carnival. They end up in pretty much like a frozen place. I know it's very cold, snowy. Anyway, they are trying to get Sunny back from Olaf, and they also bump into some other places, and they also discover the last safe place for the VFD. And they also come across other characters that we thought were lost. So it was a nice book. Still, I think towards the end I was just getting very sick of the repetitiveness of the series. Next, we have book number 3 at number 11 spot, and that is The Wide Window. So The Wide Window, I think it was, as I was saying with the others, got very repetitive. And I think because with this one it was like, oh, you go to a new person, they're going to look after you, but they've got something wrong with them, or like they've got some weird rule or something along those lines, and then they don't believe that, so the person they've encountered is Olaf. It was just very repetitive from the last 2. So it was just like, this is just the same book, just the 3rd time in. So that's why I didn't feel too fond of this one. Book number 10 is number 11, which is The Grim Grotto. I didn't mind this one. It was not the same formula with the introduction of Fiona as well as, some secrets being uncovered, and also the betrayal that happens at the end. It was a bit different, but I think it was just towards the end of the series, I was getting very bored, very sick of the repetitiveness of the language in the book. So I think as I was reading, the rankings just went down and the order in general, just because of how repetitive they were. But it was still an interesting read, and it happens after Slippery Slope. So yeah, and the introduction of the mushrooms, which I can't remember the name of, and why they were so important to the VFD as well. So that was really cool. We got more answers, but still just very repetitive. Next on the list is book number 9, which is the Carnivorous Carnival. It was kind of nice seeing the Violet, Klaus, and Sunny swapping the place and being like, we're going to be the ones that are dressing up and fooling you. But in actuality, they don't fool anyone, because everyone figures out who they are at the end, and that's where we lead into the Slippery Slope when Sunny is captured by Count Olaf, and Klaus and Sunny do have to catch them. And I feel like I should have gone into this explaining what the series is about first, but I feel like it is such a well-known series at this point that people know what the books are about per se. I should probably explain. So a series of unfortunate events follows the unfortunate events of Sunny, Klaus, and Violet Baudelaire as after they find out that their parents have perished in a fire. And it's pretty much this events that follow after that being announced to them. Those are the characters, and Count Olaf is the one that keeps constantly wanting to come back and get their money, because they have the Baudelaire fortune, which is very elusive as to how much that is or what that entails. What it covers, we don't know. So book number 8 on the list is book number 8, which is The Hostile Hospital. I don't know, I think I didn't really like this one as much because of like the medical kind of side of things, like medical manipulation and doing like things medically without the other person knowing, which kind of spooks me out. So I think that's why it's just a bit further down on the list. But it was a lot different with, not having to have that inventive mind that Violet has, and trying to solve the mystery without Violet as well, which was very, very interesting. And Klaus is very smart, and he'd be able to do a lot of things, and if he puts his mind to it. So that was really cool, having Klaus come up with things on the top of his head. Number 7 on the list is The Miserable Mill, which is book number 4 in the series. I also don't like mind control very much in stories, so that's probably why I wasn't as good, but it was still a very interesting story with Violet and Sunny having to figure out how to get out of the situation while not having Klaus being present in that moment. So that was really interesting to see, but still, it was, as I said, they get repetitive. So halfway through the series, I was getting very, very bored. And I mean, this was book number 4, but I was still bored nonetheless. So number 6 on the list is The End, which is book number 13. I put this higher up because this was very different, and it was a very nice conclusion. When I heard that some things don't get answered in the books, I was a little bit disappointed, but the way that it was explained kind of made sense, because these kids don't find these answers out, but that's okay because they have each other. And I like that kind of symbolism in that kind of moments. Like, we don't need the answers because we know that these kids are okay now. Or they don't even know the answers, so we're not going to get the answers because they don't know it. Because we're following these kids, and we follow information when it's given to them. We don't find out information outside of the book, usually. So we're not having that perspective that we know information that these kids don't. We don't find out information as these kids do, as they're very much new to the VFD world. So that is what I liked about this book. And it was also frustrating because it's like these kids have been working so hard, and yet they did not get the answers that they deserve. So, and especially the mystery behind who their parents were, in this organization as much. So that was really nice. It was a nice book to read. And number 5 on the list is The Vile Village. I think I had a bit of fun with this one because we get introduced to a Snicket, because throughout these books you get these like elusive hints to there was a Snicket. Like, who is Lemony Snicket? Who is Lemony Snicket? And so, but we only get to meet, was his name Jerome? No, I can't remember the brother's name. We'll get to meet Lemony Snicket's brother, who I cannot remember the name of in this moment, but I have a feeling it was Jerome. And we get to introduce to him, and that was very interesting, as well as just the village itself and like the rules and the part they play in the VFD, and also trying to get a hold of the Quagmire twins, which we meet in book number 5, which is the Austere Academy. So it was very, very interesting to see the kids try and figure out where they are. Book number 4 on the list is the Austere Academy. That is my dog. Please don't mind it. Yeah, this one was pretty good. I like the idea of like the schooling, like not the idea, because the school was very, very horrible. Like, you have one vice principal who is very, very much thinks that he is the best. We have 2 teachers that are teaching their children nothing, and we have a new sports teacher who is Count Olaf, who is making these kids run laps, so they're failing their classes and they're not able to attend the classes properly. So that was very, very interesting. So yeah, so that was really, really interesting. And like, they had the computer that's like, oh yeah, if Count Olaf is here, it'll be able to tell us that Count Olaf is here, but Count Olaf not there. Was there, but the computer couldn't tell. That was also interesting. And also, it was an also good instance when Count Olaf actually kind of succeeded in his plan, and he took at least some kids, which was the Quagmire twins. So, or triplets, my bad. The book made a point of saying it was the Quagmire triplets, not Quagmire twins, because they are triplets, not twins. Sorry. Book number 3, we're in the top 3, yay! And that is the Estraz Elevator. Sorry, my dog needs attention right now. It's okay, you're a good buddy, good boy. Anyway, so this book, it was you know, very different with, you know, the twist of the person that they're being looked after was actually on Olaf's side the entire time, and the kids did not suspect it until it was revealed. So that was really, really interesting. And as well with trying to get the Quagmire triplets again, they couldn't grab them as well. So that was another instance that Olaf's plan actually worked. And I think I really liked when the evil guys' plans work, and then like later on in the series, it's like they didn't actually work because we got them. But we never really found out what happened to the Quagmire triplets, which is also something I wish we would have been able to find out. Whether they were still in the mobile home, which was mentioned in the Vile Village, and what happened to Quagmire, or Quigley Quagmire. Yeah, seeing what happened to him, because we didn't really get to see much of what happened to him afterwards. It would have been cool to see, but we didn't. But that was a really good book. It was a pretty decent book in this series. Next, number 2 on the list is A Bad Beginning, which is book number 1. So yeah, it brings you into the world, it brings you into how evil Count Olaf is, and that was really, really fun to read. So yeah, I enjoyed this, bringing in the evil schemes of Olaf as well. And yeah, I didn't really like the plot of trying to marry Violet. That was definitely not a good plot point, but it was still an interesting plot nonetheless. And finally, book number 1, which is The Reptile Room, which is book number 3. This was the best book in the series. It just, you know, had fun with Monty, who actually really cared for the kids. And it was the first time that these kids, what feels like the only time that actually someone cared about these kids. And it was sad that he died. It was so sad. I am so sad that Monty died. This is justice for Monty. But anyway, and like the kids had fun. They were able to explore with the books and the animals. And like, even though like Olaf was there in disguise, they were still able to learn a lot from Monty. And it was just sad that they were not able to stay here. And I know, because it's a series of unfortunate events, that they were not able to stay at a place that they felt welcomed. And there you have it. There's my ranking and review of a series of unfortunate events. This was such a fun series to do, but I would recommend doing it reading them slowly. Or like read books in between, because these books get so repetitive. but I was getting bored very quickly, as you can see, with all the books pretty much written towards the end, we're at the bottom, and the books at the beginning are at the front. But yeah, pretty much my main criticism of this book series is that they were all the same. Like literally, like the plots were practically the same. They were so repetitive. It was very, 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 very frustrating at times to be like, and you're just skipping pages towards the end because you like it's just the same thing, and you know what words are, and they're trying to explain like the comparison to different words, and it's like, we know this. Anyway, that's all from me today. Hope you enjoyed. Follow me on my Instagram because that is where I am most active. Enjoy the day, and I'll see you next week. Bye.